Welcome to the Depth Perception Podcast.
We go in depth about the perceptions and misconceptions of optometry,
which includes the business of optometry,
social issues within optometry,
and life as an optometry student.
Coming straight from Dr. Jasdeep Singh Soni,
Dr. Nadia Afghami,
Dr. Douglas Akiti,
and Svetlana Nunez. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hear ye. We're here.
We're
We
here.
back, y'all.
Okay, guys. Well, today we wanted a podcast just for the students. We wanted to go through every year and give you guys advice, starting with first year all the way to fourth year. And I guess to start this off, we'll go from oldest to youngest, like we always do.
Why we gotta do that?
Oldest from age or oldest from practicing?
No, oldest in practicing.
In optometry years.
Yeah, oldest in optometry years. So
See, now you say optometry. Is it optometrist years or optometry years? Because I might have y'all beat in optometry years.
Ooh, I think you do.
What year did y'all first start working in optometry? Let's start there.
well, that's good.
I was born with eyes. 1988.
Working.
16 for first year for me.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Nadia?
2022.
What about you, Fat?
I was 15 when I shadowed my first optometrist. Summer of some college year. I don't remember. Let's say like 2020.
Okay. I win.
You win.
I started working at Lens Crafters 2010
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I wasn't even born yet.
during college, part-time, weekends.
Taylor Swift and Kelsey were not even engaged then. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Big news on the pod today. Where were you when you thought of me when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged? Happy for
Yes,
her.
I totally thought of you.
Next
Totally.
time I want to hear about JD being engaged.
We'll see. Okay, so Doug's the most experienced.
There we go. So Doug, what would be we're going over advice, right? Advice and like
But
things
we're
we
going
should have known.
over optometry school specifically, are we not?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little
optometry
guide
school
for
specifically.
optometry students. And then, we could talk about how you feel after school too. But yeah, well, this is a little guide for students.
Okay, so Doug, in first year, what would be your like 3 to 5 tips or your 3 to 5 guide tips, whatever you want to call it,
3 to 5 tips for first years.
for first years in optometry school?
Okay, let's see.
You can pick one and we'll spitball.
Number one, I would say, okay, I think number one is to go in with no expectations. Like, don't like expect too much. Don't overthink. Don't like, I need to know everything. I need to know what everything is in slit lamp. I need to know all the definitions of eyelid conditions.
Yeah.
Go in with no expectation. Just know, like, be ready to learn because it is a lot. You got to put a lot of work in, but don't overthink it. Like, I think most people come straight out of college, right? So you have that mindset of like, I need to study and lock down and for sure do that. But I think just don't overthink it or do too much. Go with the flow. And another thing is like, it's different from undergrad because it's not like you're in class to class. Like you have certain days where there's a lot of open space, but utilize that open space. And I would try to review what you learned in the classes right after like that same evening instead of just like chilling, going to go eat, going to hang out with friends. Because if you you got to stay on top of the studies as you go and not have to like learn everything the week before, a couple of days before the exam. So that's one thing I really would suggest for first years is to keep up with the material and review it the same day instead of like try to start brand new that weekend or whatever closer to the exam.
What about you, Nadia? What would you add to that?
So I think finding your people is like really important first year. Like finding your group of people that you can go through this journey with, I think is really important because it's really hard to say because a lot of people who got into optometry school when it was like COVID time, it's really hard for them, I think now, because they didn't have their group and they kind of have to figure everything out alone versus like, we were all lucky enough to have a class that we connected with. But I think that those are the people that are going to get you through your highs and your lows. And let's be serious, like there are going to be many. And so having the people that are there to support you and encourage you and remind you what your why is and why you're doing this and suffering with you and you guys trauma bond, it's the best because because the group of people that you go in this with is hopefully the same group that comes out, and they go on through life with you through other things, right? Like now I have highs and lows with them post optometry school, right? So it's beautiful to like have those connections and see those people and be in that stage of life and go through that together.
I just want to add to that too, because I want people to know or realize that just because you make friends with someone like the first couple of days, first couple of weeks, that doesn't mean they're going to be your same friend in fourth year. And that's not going to be your road dog. Like, just because you have roommates that first year doesn't mean they're going to be your people. But there are going to be certain people that you do meet initially, and you're going to have long lasting connections with them even after optometry school. So, yeah, just embrace that, and just let the process be the process in terms of finding out who your people really are.
Yeah. Also, I think another piece of advice is like finding out your groove, right? It's really hard because optometry school is so different than any other kind of school that you've been to before. And having to stay organized in a different way and realizing like, man, this is really intense curriculum wise. Like I really have to like learn when I'm gonna put in my time and where, and being able to navigate like different study styles for different classes, and sometimes you're not going to do well, and then you learn from that, right? And then you apply a different method the next time. So I think first year is a lot about like figuring that stuff out as well, like trying to figure out like where you are with your studying and like what's working for you and what's not working for you, because the curriculum's pretty intense as well.
All great thoughts. I guess thoughts that come to my head when you're all talking about stuff to add on what you're all saying is be ready to pivot. So that would be my theme. Like there's gonna be challenges that come your way. Like the way you studied in undergrad, like Doug was saying, is not the same you do in graduate school. You're gonna fail a test in the beginning, and then you're gonna realize, wow, maybe I'm not more of a going to class person. I'm more listening to the video later on, or more auditory, or more taking notes, or more talking out to groups. Like try stuff, be ready to try new stuff, because this is it's so different, right? Like you're probably moving to a new place, away from school, away from your family. Like there's a lot to learn, and so don't be afraid to adjust stuff. And then additionally, I would say study to learn, don't study to pass the test. That's something I didn't do enough of. Like if you had just learned how is this going to help me being a better doctor or being better later on, then you'll understand the concepts better and it'll stick more, and then it'll help you as you go through boards. So those would be things that I wish I did better, and wish what I would recommend like a first year. Study to learn. Don't just try to pass the test.
I definitely think you guys covered a lot of things in first year that was relevant for me. Like I feel like listening, little first year SV was definitely heard or seen right now. I think the thing I would add, because I don't know if your guys' school did this, but don't study the summer before going to school. Yeah, like but that was like a big thing when
They
I
tell you
was
that.
going to school. Yeah, like people were like, "Oh, like what should we study? What should we be studying?" And I was like, "Why? You're going to be studying for the next 4 years." So I would definitely avoid that. You don't need to study anything in the summer. And I think too, like expect to fail an exam. I'm sure we've all failed an exam, especially in first year, and that's completely normal. Like you kind of need to fail an exam. And I think it's an optometry school, there's definitely a lot of like everyone is like the top of their class in college, right? And you think you're like a superstar. And then you go to optometry school and then you're not the top of your class anymore. And then that's totally fine. It doesn't mean you're going to be a bad doctor. But I think you just need like a whole different mindset shift. And that shift will help you as you continue for your next 4 years. And then I think the study habits that Nadia said is very important. What Doug was saying about, or it's kind of like Doug and JD pivoting, you need that. The way you study is going to change from college, from one class to another. So I think just being willing to know all these changes is what's going to keep you successful.
Thanks for adding that, especially since you did that. That was a couple years ago for you. 3 years ago, 4 years maybe.
Yeah, 3, 4 years ago. Crazy. I still remember it all. Okay, guys, but let's move on to second year. I think we'll go in the opposite order. So JD, I'll have you give your first 2 cents about second year.
I think second year is for me in our school, and maybe y'all can resonate, was the most difficult from a curriculum standpoint, because your first year kind of learning, basics about the eye anatomy, and then second year is like what's wrong with it. And so the disease standpoint is like really challenging, especially when you're getting some of those that course load. It all stacks upon each other, where it's like a neurooptometry or like I said, some of the disease coursework, and then you're having, like optics on top of it. Like it just seems like it's a lot stacked upon each other a lot. And so my recommendation would be like, if you can do first year, you can do second year. If you can do second year, you can pass your boards. And so just think of this as a progression arc where you have evidence that you've already gone through your first year, so you can do it. I think time management is even more critical with second year. Like first year, I feel like you can kind of get away with stuff. Second year, like you really have to I think at some point I was like, oh, let me just study for one exam. Like I think you have to study a little bit with everything, especially during that finals week when hell comes, so that you're not just like waiting till the night before to figure it out. Study throughout the year. Don't wait till the last minute. Time management is key. And then know that you have some sort of precedent of doing this. Those would be my thoughts. What about y'all?
Which second year? I had two.
First and second year.
And some people do. It's okay, right?
You liked
Wow.
it so good, you did it twice.
Yeah, right. It was different because the first go, it was like classes, and the second go, it was COVID. So it was a very different experience. So, and I guess we're not in COVID anymore. All the new students haven't had that experience, but back in my day, right? So I think second year was a lot of curriculum. I think it's just like navigating now, like you're figuring out like you've had all of first year to figure out like your people and your study habits and all that stuff, and just having to apply that, I think, and it's like even more intense curriculum. And now we're doing some clinic, and now we're doing some vision screening, and now we're just adding to the layers of the onion that was first year. And I think just my advice is to be able to have that time that you're away. Like you can't just be in optometry school. You have to have something that you're doing and hanging out with people. And I was lucky because I was, right? Like I was in Pomona. So I had a lot of good friends that were like in the arts. So we got to go to like the Golden Globe party. It was fun to have that on the weekends and come back and do like studying, because you can't just have second year define you.
Since you were transparent about how you did it twice, is there anything you could do, like you would feel like you would do differently so that you wouldn't be in that position? I know you had a lot of other stuff going on too, but is there anything like learning that helped you for the second time?
I had I couldn't commit because I had some medical stuff going on. So I think like just I wasn't present enough the first go around. And so then when the curriculum changed, it just kind of funneled into doing it again, I guess. But in general, I think, I don't know, maybe I was better prepared because I'd already seen the material again. You're just kind of reviewing it. So it's just different. I'm going to base it on my first go around because, that was like the true, because the second go around, it's like we were on Zoom. It was like chaotic because we were trying to figure out like, what are we studying? When are the exams? What are we doing? We have to take our exams like on our computer, on our laptop at home. There was other things that we needed to like navigate. And so I think that added a second layer to having second year in that way. Like, luckily you guys don't have to do that hopefully ever again. Did I answer your question?
A little bit. No, I mean, I think it's so cool that you're transparent about it too. And I think that's, you can add on why, but you're a doctor, right? Nobody asks you how many times you do second year, third year, fourth year, right? And so if there's someone out there who does end up not passing a year, like kind of give them perspective on the outside, what that really means now that you graduate and you're working.
It was the worst. And I didn't like it. I think a lot of, even with my best friends, like I didn't talk to Liebna and Eris for like 6 months because it just felt like they were in a different part of their lives than me. And I think that I needed some time to like chill on that for a while and figure it out. I was lucky to have some people who also were kind of repeating. And so we kind of bonded over that again, like very trauma bonded. And if I didn't have those people, I'm not going to name names, but I wouldn't have made it. Like, I think that the fact that I had this person specifically, it was one person in my life that we were going through this together. It was the world of difference, and I might have quitted without him in there. So I appreciate that. And I think I was very lucky to have that. And again, it's about like finding your people, the mental health of it all, because really, like, you can study all you want, but are you really making a difference in your own self and your own growth if you don't have those people to go through it with?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. For me personally, I saw a lot of that at my school. I mean, my one goal was to just try to pass all classes and not have to like retake anything. But my heart goes out to people who had to, because in Puerto Rico, a lot of people get stuck in the like having to redo classes, redo a year, redo 2 years. Like it can get tricky. And for those people who have to go through that, like you see it here, like Nadia made it through. You would never know if you didn't watch our podcast or just like tune into what she tells or talks about. But like, yeah, just because you didn't pass a class or had to repeat a year doesn't make you a better or worse doctor. If anything, it just sharpens your tool even more because now you're seeing everything again for the second time. So now you're understanding more of like what the teachers are asking for and just the material in general. So, I mean, I would say if anyone has to repeat a year, embrace that. And yeah, it sucks, but like use it to sharpen your tool even sharper. And that'll help you prepare for boards even more because this is all about boards. It's not about like, can you pass the class? Like, that's the thing. I think at my school, our school is like kind of a lot of based on the professor wants you to pass the class, but are we getting ready for boards though? Because that's the real thing. And, no knock on any professors or anything, but if these classes or these questions that are being asked don't really help us with boards or like understanding how that works, then like, well, what are we learning? What are we doing? I don't know if that really goes into second year, but I was just like, for you, Nadia, I feel for you. And like, I have many friends that are in that same situation.
No,
Yeah, and in the long run, like, you don't really know. Like, I graduated at the same time as some people that are still not practicing, right? Because, like, of whatever reason. So it doesn't really matter in that sense. Like, when you start practicing, it doesn't, my patients never ask me, what was your percentage on boards? Nobody ever asks me, what did you get in ophthalmic optics? Nobody cares, They just care that you care about them and that you know what you're doing. And that's it at the end of the day. So don't get stuck on that when you're in school.
even though it
One
wasn't
time, guys,
directly.
can I tell a story just really quick?
Go
One
for it.
time I was at dinner with my advisor and like a couple other people. And I remember specifically, like, I was like, okay, like, C's get degrees, right? Like, that's how it is. And somebody in the group said, well, I wouldn't want my doctor to have barely passed. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of rude to say because, like, what do you ask your practitioner, like, what kind of grade they got in school? I've never once even, I don't even think I've asked them, like, what school did you go to? Like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, just you get through it, you do your best. The only person you're competing with is yourself and just making yourself better every day. And that's it. So, sorry, just to say that a little bit.
No, I'm so trying to say, I'm glad we went on that tangent because no matter what year you are or when you're doing boards or whatever, like if you have to redo something, just know in the big picture, you can still be successful like Nadia. Like nobody asks these questions in real life, to her point. You could still be seen as anybody else and you'll just look back at it one day as a challenge that you overcame, so just keep at it. But NDL's Doug and SV, you wanted to add specifically about second year?
I did want to make a comment about the repeating and just like it's not. I think yeah, well, we are the depth perception. We go in depth, and I think we're always very honest about what's going on with us. So I love that Nadia shared that, and I think we represent 4 different schools, and I've seen it at my school too. And at my school, I think the only thing I wanted to mention after seeing it to a really close friend was it's hard to come back to the same school. And I feel like there's that mental block of like, do I come back to school and everybody knows that I didn't pass this year? So I just wanted to address that because I think that somebody listening might feel that way, like, oh, I got to go back and like I was in one class and they're going this way, but I'm going to the class below me now. And at the end of the day, nobody cares. And it's like you care, of course. And then, of course, there's going to be people that talk, but those people are not your friends. Those people are not people that actually matter at the end of it. It's just you and your career. But talking about second year now, I would think the only thing that I would add and highlight is that in second year, make sure that in first year we were practicing our clinical skills, right? But in second year, you want to make sure that you're getting your clinical skills down because, like Nadia mentioned at her school, you start doing a little bit of clinic in second year and you kind of want to have your clinical, like, skills like using the slit lamp, doing BIO. I'm trying to think of all the skills we do, but like have those all skills kind of mastered or like you're really comfortable with the slit lamp so that when you go into clinic, you're not like, oh my gosh, how do I turn on the light? Or how do I turn it to look at the cornea? It just comes naturally. So like you have those skills down because of first and second year. And by the time you're in third year, you're working on diagnosing, not knowing, not how to use the equipment. It's I'm looking at this and is it normal versus I don't know how to look at this. I guess that's one of the skills I wanted to highlight because in third year, you don't want to be worried about how do I turn the slit lamp light on? You want to be able just to look at the cornea in third year. And then, so this needs to be built in second year, work on your skills.
That's great. No, that's very good. Yeah, I have one friend, call him a friend now, but he's a new first year, and he just reached out the other day, and he was like, it's been 2 days. I've been practicing slit lamp. What advice do you have for me? Like, what do you think I should know? And I was like, first, do you guys know the Allen Iverson like rant where he's just talking about practice? It's like practice, not the game that I go out and die for. We talking about practice, man. Practice. And I just sent him that. And I was like, bro, like, it's only been 2 days. Like, just practice. But you're also good because it's just been 2 days. Like, don't worry about that. But like Svet just said, in second year is when you really need to start practicing more and honing on those skills because, you want to just be fluid and smooth with it so that you're ready for part 3 when that comes.
Yeah. I think we've touched second year a lot and we should move on to third year. I'll go first with this one. I think in third year, this was like my breakthrough. So I loved third year. I think by the time summer, it was like summer of third year or summer of third year, summer before third year. I don't know how your school describes it, but like it was the summer, but technically that fall would have been the start of third year. But anyways, the summer of third year, that's when we started clinic, I think 2 to 4 days a week. It kind of just depended which schedule you got. So yeah, you could have 4 days a week clinic as a third year. And that's the time where I felt best because there was not a lot of pressure of classes. I think, let's say if I had to give a percentage, it was like 70% clinic, 30% classes. And I know every school does something a little different, but because we didn't have a lot of classes, I felt like it was a lot of pressure off me from like the whole study routine because I was tired of just like studying or tired of being in class all day from like 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 actually. And then if we did have class, it was like class from 8 to 10, and then from 10 to 5 you would have clinic. And I don't know, I just liked being in clinic way more than being in class. So I think I always tell students, especially at my school, that like the summer, everything's gonna get better, especially if you like clinic, especially if you like, if you really like optometry, you're really gonna like third year. And I think the only thing I would say is that there's a different balance because classes, more clinic, but now it's boards. So it's like you come home and you still do have to study because you have to study for like part 1 or I think just part 1 at the time, right? Because part 2 I think is more in fourth year. But part 1, and then if you didn't study well in first and second year, it's going to come bite you in the butt because then you're going to have to redo optics or redo vision perception. That's at least what happened to me. Like my vision perception was not strong because that was one of my first classes in first year that I was kind of like whatever with, and I didn't realize, gosh, this is on boards. And it's like, okay, now I got to reteach myself vision perception. So I would just keep that in mind. You're going to be tired, but in a different way because you're clinic tired. And then you have to come study, and you're not studying for a class. You're studying like all of KMK, or you're doing your opto prep questions. And it just takes, it's a little different, but it kind of feels like you work and then go home and you can chill. What would you guys add?
I'll go next. I want to say that, like you mentioned, summer before third year. And I think that summer is very important because I think that's when you should start studying for boards. Like, whether it be start the KMK program. Can't really start opto prep because opto prep's only 3 months. But I would say start studying for boards in that summer going into third year because when I was a first year, I have friends that were third years and they were like smart, top of the class, but they also liked going out and like knew how to have fun. So they knew how to balance everything. And they were the kind of people that are like, you just need to study like, that winter before boards. Like you just need start in December and you'll be good for March. And I tried that and it was not the case for me. Like I started in December. I didn't even finish KMK like before we got back into school in January. So I would say, yeah, start studying for boards that summer so that you have more time and less in case you need to relearn new things. Start in the summer.
I was having like jealousy because I hated third year, but I didn't like it. Third year was by far the worst year. I was depressed all of third year, basically, because we had a full curriculum, we had full clinic, we had full studying, we had our eligibility exam, which is the exam they make you take. And if you don't pass it, you don't take boards. Your school will take you out. They will unregister you for your boards
Not all
exam.
schools have that, but some schools.
But our school had that. So, yeah, that was by far like you are trying to balance so much mentally and academically that you're like, how do I have 3 tests this week and I have board studying and I have to take the eligibility exam and I have clinic and we're doing all these things. So for me, I didn't like third year. I thought it was the worst year. I will never go through that again, hopefully. I mean, in my life, maybe in my nightmares, but it's like when you're like missing the bus kind of dreams, I always dream like I made it to the boards late or something. They didn't let me in or whatever it is. But I think also on the flip side, it's the smartest I've ever been probably in optometry, right? Because everything's fresh. Like there's so many things that like, that you're like, wow, I'm never going to use this, but it's crazy that my brain knows this right now. Didn't study for boards until December. So
Hardy, she's one of them.
just because like I'm not the best at like class tests, but I'm pretty good at standardized exams, like on the flip side. So I'm just different in that way. So
What's your advice, Nadia?
everyone's different. I don't know. I think that like seeing the big picture for me is what really helps because when you're doing K&K, you're like, oh, that's why I need to know this. Like that's why I had to do like all these baby steps. And I know they try to train you in that way, but it's really hard to do that in the moment when you're just trying to survive, right? But like when it's on your own time and your own schedule and you're like, this is what I want. And I also think that, I was told like I wouldn't pass boards. I don't know if I should say by whom, but anyway, they said you're probably going to take it 3 times and not pass. And I was like, you don't even know like what I'm capable of. Why would you say that? Right. It was like an admin. Anyway, I think that also like I just have seen people like that are really smart that like just I guess could have studied differently or like asked for more help or something like that, and I didn't want to be that person, so I really utilized all of my resources. Like I read class notes. I did Doug, I'm sharing. Guys, Doug in the chat room, just give your advice. I'm giving the backstory so I can give advice, bro. Relax.
All right, we're getting there. Okay, just
All right, I
making
have
sure.
no advice. My advice, none. JB, what about you?
I
We'll
think
come back.
you all did a good job of
Giving my
highlighting.
advice, I was saying like there's stress, there's a lot going on. Like you have to believe in yourself and get through it. Like I don't know what else to say.
You had advice. You said we're all different, right? You got to know yourself. Like for you, you're good at standardized tests, right? So you didn't fret the same way some of us need to with if we struggle with on tests on schools. So there's some thoughts there.
Yeah.
I think you all did a good job of talking about like clinic in third year or boards with third year. I'm gonna take it from a rotation standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
How you should pick your rotations and where you should go and then what you should do on your rotations. For me, I think rotations are a great platform to use or like a great stepping stone for when you're picking a job. So I want you to think of a rotation and see how is this going to help me with potentially deciding what residency I want to do? How is this going to help me with deciding what type of specialty I want to work in or what kind of clinic I want to work in one day? Because you should try it. This is your opportunity to kind of date around 3 or 4 times and say, hey, do I want to do this potentially for my first job or the rest of my life? Right. So for me personally, I knew I wanted to be in more sales-minded roles. So I went to a dry eye clinic where they were really pushing, their patients to do dry eye products and work with the latest and greatest innovation and technology. That was a great experience for me. And then another one was a private practice that was very business heavy. There was times where I wasn't even seeing patients truthfully. I did projects for them where I was working on their marketing and social media because they valued a business mindset. And that's where I want to do with my career. And so I looked in we had like little books or reviews from other students about, hey, like, what clinics match what I want a career. And then I tried it. And then that's where the jobs I pursued after. So if you're picking a rotation out there, pick something that you think you'd like. Because even if you don't like it when you try it, that's how you can rule it out before actually even going there. I know plenty of people that just picked it based on like location because they wanted to go to Hawaii because it's fun. For me, that doesn't match my values personally, because I want you to use this as a stepping stone for where you want your career to be. But you could argue you may want to be an optometrist in Hawaii. Then maybe you should go try to live there, because you can see for 3 months instead of going there for a year or two, if that's where you want to live for your career. So just keep that concept in mind, and I think that will help you with deciding your career when we're going to talk about fourth years here soon.
And I think there's just two aspects to think about. And I want to see y'all opinion on this. JD, obviously you're more so on the side of like, do something that you see yourself doing in your career. But how do you decide where picking that aspect or the other side, which is like a place that will help you study for part 3 or boards part 2, wherever you may be, like something that may give you more reps or more disease or things that will help you in like seeing things for your studies. So how did you, Svet and Nadia, kind of approach that?
Yeah, I think just because it was really recent for me, I'll give some background, Doug, before I give advice.
Yeah, Doug, relax. Jeez.
Timer starts at now.
But I think going into optometry school and learning about rotations, I was always thinking, oh, it was like traveling time. And then I didn't realize that it's not traveling time. I actually picked like all the closest California rotations that I could. So part of it was like finances. Like I can't afford going to this place for 2 months. Like let me give you an example. Like, what's that one that's in Washington and you do like all like the political people? Like almost all the
Um,
schools have that.
are
No,
you talking about a rotation?
it's a rotation, yeah. And there's, I think SCCO goes there, Berkeley goes there, and maybe Pacific goes there. But like there, anyways, there's like 9 students and they're all from different schools. But that rotation, I think, is in Washington. That was something that I thought, oh, that's cool. It would be more like private. It's not private practice, but it would be similar to private practice. Um, because it's just like healthy people in and out. You kind of move quickly. And I was like, okay, this would be a cool experience. This would be a great city. It'd be on the East Coast. Da, 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 da. And when it came down to it, I was like, well, I have a dog. I got a dog. I would need a car. I would need to use the bus, and I would have to pack up my life here in Berkeley. I had rented a studio, so I would have to have somebody move into my studio. So then I'm not paying double rent. And it was like, okay, this doesn't work out for me. But at the same time, I think schools, they do give you options of like, okay, if I wanted a private practice, if I wanted something that'd be a little more fast paced, I could find that rotation with a different one close by. Ultimately, my values changed, and I got the really good advice of making sure to do heavy medical optometry in the beginning, because that would help you for part 2. So part 2 is in December. And I was told, okay, make sure you do your medical rotations first. So that would be summer of fourth year and then fall, right? Because then in December, or I think, yeah, summer, I remember now, there's summer, there's fall 1, there's fall 2. So by the time you hit fall 2, we had 5 rotations. I should say that too. So it was summer, fall 1, fall 2, spring 1, spring 2. So then for my summer to fall 2, I made sure to do all medical so that by the time part 2 came during fall 2, I felt really strong. And medical, I always say make sure it's medical, but ask people what their rotation is like, because my summer was at a community health clinic, and that doctor was really emphasizing us to read research articles and to read evidence-based optometry. And at the time, I didn't know that she would do this, but I think that's important because the little baby fourth year in the summer, I was reading these articles. After that, I went to the VA, and going to the VA was like, they would have me read articles too. And I already read these articles in the summertime. And then by the time for fall 2, I came back to Berkeley, and it wasn't really that medical anymore because I had like vision screenings and BV and contact lenses. And I had one medical day. We call it med mod. That one day in med mod, it was difficult, but I already had a really good foundation from my last 2 rotations. And then by the time part 2 came, I felt like part 2 was easier because I've seen a lot at the community health clinic and at the VA. So I think that would be my advice. Yes, location's important, but pick a location that won't hurt your bank, but at the same time, you're balancing that it's going to help you. Um, in the future, whether that's like they will do a lot of mentorship, because you guys know there's other rotations where they just kind of let you do whatever you want and there's not like a lot of learning involved. And that's not to say bad about any rotations, but I've heard it where it's like, oh yeah, I just diagnosed this, and they just said yes and referred, but we didn't go, like, there was no detail, there was no explanation, and you want that explanation because you're still a student.
What about you, Nadia? Which route did you take? Career based,
Should I give background or
test
just my
based?
advice, Doug?
I mean, your time, 2 minutes
So
on the clock starts
just
now.
just wondering, like, when did you guys pick your rotations? Like, because ours we did, I think, first semester, third year.
I think mine was like second semester of third year, like later on.
Same, I think, second semester.
Sometime third year. Hard to say now.
Okay, because ours I think was like August, September. Like we already had to pick it. My advice, well, I also picked, I mean, locations that were close to home because like I'd been out of Florida for a while. So yeah, that was important to me to be closer to my family. However, fourth year was my favorite year because I think like it's so less like heavy. I think now you're like really coming into your own and you're allowed to like explore things. So I think when you're picking rotations, it's important to like balance it. Like you can't pick all private practice, you can't pick all VA, right? Like you have to just, this is your time to be able to explore different modes of practicing and where you want to be. And like, do I want to do like a residency? Like, do I really like the VA or do I really like the Indian Health Services? You know? So I think like just making your portfolio balanced, you know, I had like 2 private practices and I had a VA and an IHS. So I tried to like balance that a bit because I didn't want to pick all private practice and whatever, because you're not really growing, right? So pick rotations that challenge you. I think that I got really lucky because I loved all of my rotations. The IHS was difficult. I think it's, you know, my preceptor, and it matters who's there, right? Like, again, read the reviews. Like JD said, right? You have to like, people will write like how they went. And I think at the end of it, in mine, I wrote like, you'll cry every day, but you'll also learn a lot. Like, you know, so, and I think in the long run, it grew me as a person. Like I know so much now because I was allowed to do so much at the IHS, right? Like I would take out stitches. I would be able to send blood work because it's right in the hospital. And in the end of it, they offered me a job to stay, and I didn't want to stay. But you know, you just never know. Like even if you pick a rotation that you're like, this is going to be challenging, I don't think this is what I want to do. You never know at the end of the day how it's going to go and how it'll change you. So just try to challenge yourself. Last chance to like be under someone's wing without, you know, having to like not have somebody who's there for you, watching you.
No, that's good background for boards and rotations. Let's jump to fourth years here, since I know it's been we've been here for a good amount of time, which I appreciate, and good details. Fourth years, any details on what you would recommend for fourth years, whether it's when they're on the rotations, studying for part 2, part 3, and then I'll touch up on some job stuff. Anybody want to add some stuff?
I want to say in fourth year, it's like the start of doing, like, in school, everything is like do it at your own pace. If you repeat years, it's at your pace. Like, who cares what other people think? Da 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 da. Da. Like, it's just you. But like in fourth year, I think you really solidify that. So it's like if you haven't passed the boards, it's at your own pace. You don't have to tell anyone. If you're applying to residency, you mean you can share with your people. You don't have to. If you end up doing residency or don't doing it, it's on your own pace. If you are applying a job super early, it's at your own pace. If you're not doing your licensing right away in school, because some people do licensing and get it done in school, some people don't, and they do it after graduation, it's at your own pace. And like at the end of the day, I think that there's like so much pressure to being a doctor right away and having everything done. And yeah, some people do value that and they want everything done. And if that's you, then do everything to have everything done before you graduate. But if you can't and you have a different story, then you have a different story. It's at your own pace and it's completely fine. You can be successful no matter how long it takes you. And there's always a job for you. There's always something that, whether you have a license, don't have a license, you're trying to practice in one state, but you're in a different one, or you need to retake a test and you want to wait after graduation. Like no matter what it is, it's at your own pace, and you don't need to be sharing that with people. You can figure it out on your own. I say figure it out on your own, but I mean like you can share with the people who you want to share with, and then you can just kind of wait. I think that's something that I've seen with a lot of close friends. Me personally, it's like there's a lot of pressure into being to fit in the mold, and I just want to make sure that you guys don't feel like you have to fit in a mold. It's okay to do things differently from how everyone else does it?
Fourth year, I kind of already touched on it, but this is your chance to be a real doctor and do real doctor things. And I think just knowing yourself and growing as the practitioner you're about to become, just be gentle with yourself. I mean, you're not going to get everything the first time. Nobody woke up and knew how to take out a foreign body, right? Like we learn that stuff. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If you really just don't know something, like you don't be afraid to look stupid, right? Like ask, be like, hey, is there any articles I can read about this? Or like, how can I sharpen myself? Because your preceptors are really there for you to learn. I know all of them don't seem like it, but yeah, that's their job, right? And just knowing what kind of practitioner you want to be will help you in the next steps in life, especially getting your next job and where you want to be. And you'll learn about that during your fourth year.
Doug, anything you want to add before I kind of talk about the job stuff?
Yeah, for me, fourth year was a lot. I'm like thinking back to everything that happened in fourth year, and it was such a blur that like I kind of forgot a lot. But life happens. I'll just say that. Um, for me in fourth year, I was on rotations in Philly and got a call. Pretty much, one of my good friends who was a second year, Nigel Holiday, he passed away on campus, like in his sleep. And I had to be the one to like tell his mom like that it was confirmed that it happened. And I was at a Eagles game, after clinic one day, and I got this call. Decided to answer it. I usually don't answer random calls, but yeah, fourth year was wild for me because that happened, and then like a couple months later, actually I think a few weeks later, then my grandma got diagnosed with like stage 4 cancer. Like fourth year was definitely crazy for me. And then from there, I had a rotation in San Diego, and that was when we had Academy in San Diego. So I literally didn't even know where I was going to be staying, but I was supposed to be from Academy staying in San Diego for my rotation. But just how things worked out, I was able to find a place, and uh so that weekend at Academy was able to find a place, and it just worked out. Uh with the thanks of God. But yeah, I would just say fourth year, things do get more serious because you do have to like change that mindset and get out of the imposter syndrome that you may have. Like, I'm just a student. No, you have to like really change your mindset. Like, you're a student doctor, you're a doctor. You're about to graduate, and you have to approach things like you are the doctor. So you have to have confidence and approach everything with having confidence, but also not being afraid to learn and ask questions if you don't know, because you're trying to prep yourself for that next level. So when you're seeing patients by yourself without a preceptor, so embrace it and enjoy it, but also take into consideration, like JD said, picking practices that you may see yourself in. Like, I did vision therapy because I wanted to do sports vision. I also did medical optometry because I want to do that as well. But then also strategically picking locations based on funding as well. I was supposed to go to New York, but ran out of funds, so I had to go from Philly to California. So it's all about like everyone mentioned, picking what works for you, but also make it make sense to where you get something out of it.
Thanks for sharing all that, man. I know this wasn't easy, and great thoughts by everybody, whether it's, what kind of rotations to pick in the early part of your fourth year or how to go about fourth year. I would say, to Ezvi's point, there's no, hey, you have to get a job or find the next step right away. But there's nothing wrong with networking, going to conferences, talking to local doctors in your area that you may potentially want to work, and getting those conversations started earlier. The more information you have, the better. So, when it comes to looking for jobs in your fourth year, I think January to February to March, those are good times to start thinking about, like, where do you want to live? What's important to you? When I was on this rotation, how many patients I saw, was that what I want to do when I grow up? What kind of setting do I want to be in? Whether it's medical, not medical, what kind of salaries do I want to make? That's just the time to start thinking, so that when you get to that point, when you make that decision, you have a filter for what is important to you. And there's so much out there, and that's why rotations are so helpful. Like, document your header on a journal, what you liked about your rotations, what you didn't like, and then start thinking about jobs, and then trying to pick jobs that match what you did like. And so think of your fourth year rotations as like an opportunity to date around and see what you do like about for your career. So and then at that point, reach out to online sources, whether it's Indeed or optometric societies about looking for jobs, or recruiters like myself. So people are here to help you, and There's a lot out there. And so I think everybody today, this is a great student guide for everybody, whether it's fourth years, passing boards, getting through the mental health part about it, retaking years. I appreciate y'all for like sharing all this stuff. I think it's gonna be really helpful for students out there.
I want to add to that too, because fourth year for me, I like obviously you guys know I like basketball, and so I treated fourth year kind of like a first round draft pick, like somebody about to get drafted to the NBA, and these different teams are looking at you. The different teams have different jobs, and so they'll fly you out to certain situations as long as you talk to a recruiter like JD. You can get these connections to where you get flown out, and then you'll get to see the practice in person, go to your interview. So that this way you're able to see what you like, what you don't like, and able to just figure out what works for you. So yeah, take that time in fourth year to be able to, take these opportunities to go to different jobs and understand what works best for you.
Yeah, and my last pearl is just go to the conferences and make your connections, because there's so little time to do that. I was like, I'm going to go to all the conferences when I'm practicing. No, you don't have time. So go while you have the time and make those connections and reach
This
out.
is how we connected
Yeah, so
through conferences.
don't skip out. Don't skip out on academy and all that, because they give you the time to go, and there's a lot of grants and stuff that allow you to do those fun things. And
Travel grants.
yeah, just use that time as a student to really make your connections.
Well, cool. Thanks for listening to the Depth Perception Podcast, a little student guide here. We got more coming for new grads, people who have graduated or students. So just stay in touch and let us know if you have any questions. Till next time.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Depth Perception Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all of our platforms, including
Spotify,
Instagram,
Google Podcasts,
Apple Podcast.
YouTube. Make sure you click that button. Double tap that.
So you guys have no reason not to follow us and tune in to the next episode.
Stop wasting time.
Get in depth.
Subscribe.